operational. I have to tell what's really going on. The result of that kind of a response loses you one of the major strategic advantages that you have. Because your strategic advantage is to see once that issue is raised, whether anybody else jumps on the bandwagon. What we've learned about responding to issues is that most of them we ourselves give life to. During the great New American Revolution of the 60s and 70s, our firm represented a whole lot of those people out there who were demanding change and picketing, giving you and everybody else a hard time. I learned a lot from those people, and one of the things I learned was this. These little groups that wanted to have us do things differently had learned a lot about how we respond. And they had a standard technique, and here's what it was. They would run in, zap whoever they were after with about the juiciest accusation they could find. And then they'd go off to Hawaii for a 2-week vacation. Because that organization or that government would be so busy denying it for 2 weeks that after about a week everybody in town knew about it. And if the organization had shut up, chances are very few people would have known about it. And fewer still would have cared about it. We give credibility to those issues by responding quickly right off the bat. Now, certain issues demand a response. You don't have the luxury of not responding right away. And the rule here that we've learned is very simple. However you respond, do not put down the accuser. Do not put down that other person. Right there, I would make a personal prediction from my practice of 35 years of dealing with issues at all levels, that right there is the #1 crux of preparing yourself to deal with these issues. If you can understand emotionally, I know we all understand it intellectually, but if you can bring your emotional system to understand that everybody out there in our society has a right to say whatever stupid thing they want to say, and then a lot of them are going to say it to you because you put yourself in their way by being in local government. If you can somehow get your emotional system comfortable with that, now you can meet this test. Pick up your own newspaper, whatever you read. Don't take my word for this, just pick it up. And look in there at some local meeting that was taking place where someone came in with an accusation. And then read very carefully what the officials said in response. 9 times out of 10, they have gone out of their way to make the person bringing the information look foolish, small, uninformed, commie, pinko, whatever. You know, that's how the nuclear power plants got in trouble. Their first response to all the people who questioned whether they would be cost-effective and safe, they called them all commie pinkos. But of course, everybody else in America knew that they weren't. These were people who had some legitimate concerns. And so immediately by that response, they probably gained a 25 to 30% public advantage over these people. Well, let's suppose that an issue comes along, you have to respond, you don't have that luxury. You do respond properly, you don't just put this person down. What do you do there? Well, you know, I made a joke of it, but I think the evidence is overwhelming. The way to deal with issues that are brought by outside groups is indeed to do just what you do now, report to task force. When Ronnie Reagan was in trouble for the Grenada invasion, remember that? It was the only war ever scheduled for television. Well, when Ronnie was doing that, he got a lot of criticism. First, some good reasons, and maybe some not so good reasons, depending on your politics. Now put yourself in Ronnie's position, or put yourself in a position on any of the issues you've written down. Uprise the champions of the opposite point of view. Ronnie has to respond to them, and he's smart enough to know that you don't put them down, because then they'll just make it a vendetta to get at you. So what does he do? He thinks very strategically, and he says, if I try and deal with it now, it's going to be a slugfest, me against them. On the other hand, if I appoint, and it's going to truly be just me, Ronnie Reagan, against these accusers. Now, on the other hand, he says, if I appoint a task force of some of the most respected Americans, it's going to be 6 to 9 months before they bring in their report. By the time they bring in their report, most Americans will have forgotten all about the issue. And besides, they won't not only have to take on Riley, they're going to have to take on 25 world-famous Americans who are also on this committee. Now think about that for a minute. I joke about task forces, but what we have learned in dealing with issues is that if a person in government or in an organization tries to become the point person on that issue, your chances of losing are intense. The thing you have to do is spread the targets. And how do we spread the targets? We spread the targets in 2 ways. If you want to anticipate future issues, do some issue anticipation work through an issue anticipation team, and call them that. Call together a group of people who maybe have a brown bag lunch or breakfast once a month or whatever. Put some appointed officials, some elected officials, some community people on that team. Make them your issues anticipation team. Tell them to ask 2 questions. What's going on out there in that big wide world? And 2, could it happen here? And they should do a lot of reading of stuff that they ordinarily wouldn't read. Maybe pay a little bit of attention to some of these future predictions that are always coming along, looking at what's happening to other communities, not just in Wyoming, but around the country, and then come back to you with some information when they find an issue that it looks like it might be dangerous. Now notice your position. You as a public official are merely responding. If you investigate that issue to a properly appointed committee of government that you have set up, they are merely doing their job. Anybody who disagrees with what you're going to look into doesn't have to get all excited about it. This is just the routine workings of the organization of government. Otherwise, if you as an individual say, you know, I've been thinking, I read a story the other day, and I think this town could, and whatever you say, if people don't like that because they're not ready for it, you haven't sensitized them to it, who are they going to take out their ill feelings on? You. So if you haven't got some kind of a formal issue anticipation mechanism, I urge you to do it. We're doing this everywhere today. The big organizations, the associations, the corporations, the large hospitals, who have to deal with issues all the time, have tried over the last 20 years, maybe 24 methods for anticipating future issues. They are now in unanimous agreement that the only way to do it is with a team of people. Maybe a small team, maybe a large team, and the people on that team should be people who are very different, who see the world differently, who make their local calls a little differently. So you get a real group of opinions. And this is the way they're dealing with it. School districts all over this country are now setting up issue anticipation teams inside the schools, because of course the issues they're going to face in the next decade are just absolutely overwhelming, probably even worse than yours. And they found that the way to deal with it is this. Probably this is a whole new direction for many of you. If not, good for you. But think hard about setting up an issue anticipation team. Secondly, if you've got an issue, think about really dealing with it by appointing a task force of people to look into it, if that isn't already what you do all the time. Now look at the 3 issues that you wrote down. And ask yourself, if these are issues that have already arisen, if these are already on your plate, would one of these mechanisms help? If what you wrote down is an issue that hasn't quite hit yet, maybe it's a change issue, would it be possible for you to spread the insight into this issue by getting a lot of other people or a small group of other people involved in really trying to anticipate what this issue is going to mean specifically for your town? If it's an issue that's already arisen, is it too hot to deal with now? Or is it something that, again, you could spread out over a task force, a group of people who could look at this? Notice what I'm saying. I'm urging you not to set yourselves up as individuals to handle issues. You can't win. You're only one person. You got 500 other things to do. Spread the risk, spread the targets. It's what's working in almost every level of our society today. Well, there's one other list that may be useful to you, and that is the types of issues that come along. There are about 5 of them. First is an issue that comes along which is really an accident. I mean, there's truly an accident somewhere. It's not your fault. No one is probably going to say it's your fault. Well, no one except a few zealots who think that breeding is your fault, and every town has some of those. The second type is a scandal issue. There's a scandal going on here. Usually it involves money or sex. The third type is a bedfellow issue. Somebody serving on a town board has done something in their personal life or in their job that has nothing whatsoever, logically, to do with their position on the town board, and suddenly the whole town government is being accused. How could you have such a person on that board? It's just a bedfellow issue. That person has to be in bed with the town government by serving on the board, but what the issue that arose has to do with something clear over here. The fourth kind is a simple disagreement over policy or operations. You've got one view of how you ought to do it. Somebody else, some other group has another view of how to do it. And the fifth kind are organizational failures, where we did not oversee the operations to the point that they failed. Now, how do you deal with these 5 kinds of issues? What we've learned is that an accident issue, the first thing we have to do is show concern first, before we do anything else, for anyone who may have been harmed by this. If it was a true accident involving people, some kind of a crash or a building failure or something, or if it's just an economic situation, I say just, those are pretty important too. If it's an economic situation where some planning that had been done about future development didn't pay off, and some people were hurt by some external situation that you couldn't control, which is really an accident, the first rule there is to show concern for the people who were involved first, and then to explain what's going on in the incident. In a scandal situation, I think there's only one way to deal with it, and that is for the town government to distance itself from that as soon as possible. Even the Democratic congressmen knew when they saw the handwriting on the wall that they had to distance themselves from Jim Wright, or the whole ship would have gone down. Now, I know it's nice again to say, well, whatever happened to loyalty and all of those wonderful qualities, and I hope that if there's a misunderstanding, a misperception, that those qualities will come through. I'm talking about a scandal that there it is, there's no denying it, it's real. That's not the time for those qualities to come through, because your interest has to be the larger picture of the whole function of government and of the trust of the people in the community in that government. In a bedfellow situation, you also have to distance yourself. The trouble here is that it's very difficult often. Interestingly enough, this is a case where reciting the facts helps the distance, because the facts are that it happened over there, it had nothing to do with the government. Now, if you think that this isn't a real problem today, our clients in corporate America are very concerned. In fact, we just had a case last week at a university. A person who had attended a local university was involved in a shooting. And so what did the headline say? Siwash graduate involved in shooting. I mean, are they implying that Siwash, taught this guy how to use the gun? Or that we spent 4 years telling them if things don't work out, you just get a gun and go shoot people? But you see, today we need to personify people. We need to put labels on people. And so the only thing Siwash could do was to just make the factual case. This is not us, it didn't happen here, this person doesn't work for us, he was a student here 10 years ago. The public understands. In a disagreement, now comes one of the true tests of government officials. And that is the ability to remember how this country got started. It is not un-American, disloyal, or whatever to disagree with government. That's what America is all about. Those people out there giving you a very hard